Hello and welcome to this edition of Dr. Clark Reports. I'm your host, Gary Clark, and my guests are two individuals who are from Dillard University here in the city of New Orleans. We have Mr. Dillard and Miss Dillard. Miss Dillard is Keadria Miller, 2018-2019, and Mr. Dillard is my young friend Joseph Caldwell, who's the 13th Mr. Dillard, and she is the 83rd Miss Dillard. Greetings and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and you two hail from Dillard University, and you serve as Mr. and Miss Dillard this year, and you're actually beginning to have a very, very good reign. And I want to know specifically, how's it been for you? We'll start off with you, Miss Keadria, Miss Miller. How has it been?
I would say this year has definitely been a learning experience for me. Previously, I've served in class queen positions, so
yes,
under Miss Dillard's. So I've served as Miss Sophomore and Miss Junior. So this year, I've actually been stepping into the actual spotlight, and so I've been asked to take more leadership roles, and that's been a kind of a weird transition for me because I'm used to being in the background, but now I have to step up to the forefront.
Oh, from the background to the forefront. It's a whole different, from the back burner to the front burner, as they say.
Yes.
I mean, that's absolutely great. And also, Joseph, Mr. Caldwell, tell us about your reign as Mr. Dillard and your anticipation. Yes, sir.
My reign has been very eye-opening. My last couple of leadership positions at Dillard has been freshman class president, and then I did 2 years as SGA vice president. So I was used to being in the background under the president, the SGA president for 2 years, helping him and really doing a lot of advocating for different things. And now stepping over to the Mr. Dillard role, being the forefront, always being seen and doing all these appearances, it's just been eye-opening and a blessing for me.
Well, I know this is not an easy task for both of you, and the road, and both of you are seniors, graduating seniors, should I say. And will you please tell us about the avenue toward getting there? Yes, sir. What was the avenue toward becoming Mr. Dillard?
I ran a tough campaign. The person that I ran against previously served as Mr. Sophomore and Mr. Junior, so he had 2 years of being on the court versus me having no years of being on the court. And so I had a great, amazing campaign team that really pushed out. We almost did tabling every day. We was handing out snacks, cookies and treats. We made a music video. We made a song. We even did like Queen Care Packs where we was passing out feminine packets to the women on campus to really push and give out those votes. So my campaign team did a really good job of really pushing it.
And did you say you did a video? Yeah,
we have a music video that went viral on Twitter.
I'm amazed I didn't see it. I had to pull it up and look for it. It's still out there, is it not?
It is.
Okay.
It's still out there.
Okay, real good.
Yeah.
And so you ran against. You had some pretty tough competition. And what was your platform?
My platform was take action in ourselves, our community, and our education. When take action in ourselves, I really wanted the guys to get out of the comfort of just playing basketball or being in their room playing all day. I wanted them to really look into themselves and invest in themselves and get out their comfort zones. So one of the things that I did early on with my reign is a 100-man suit drive. And so I was able to raise 200 suits over the summertime to give to the guys on campus. That way they can go out and do interviews and feel comfortable. Deion Sanders once said, if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you perform good. And so that was my goal with doing that, with taking action in themselves.
That's so absolutely true. And so you were able to raise suits for individuals. And I know they were happy about it.
Yeah, they was. It was great. I didn't get my first suit until kind of mid-semester of my freshman year, and it was given to me by the Mr. Dillard that year. And so I just wanted to provide that opportunity on a bigger scale and put over 200 students in suits this year.
You know, and suits are not inexpensive. They cost.
Yeah.
Yes, and again, Keadria, Miss Miller, what was your avenue toward winning the crown?
To decide to run for Miss Dillard was a very big decision for me, so I really reached down into my faith to see if this is an opportunity that I wanted to take. Like Joseph said, campaign teams are very important. I had a phenomenal campaign team. We had several different events so I could connect with the students and let them know exactly what I plan to do for them. So I had different campaign parties, ice cream socials. I went door to door to all the students in their dorm rooms just to let them know that I am accessible and let them know what I'm planning to run on. And which was,
Yes.
my platform. My platform was Elevate to Excellence. It's focused on 3 pillars: academic excellence, social excellence, and spiritual excellence. And each target has something particular that I wanted to bring to the students to let them know that, yes, we can do the bare minimum, but no, don't strive to do the bare minimum. Strive for excellence.
Oh, you know what? It was well received, evidently. And is it working now?
Yes, it is. Currently, with the assistance of the Royal Court, I've been focused on the first pillar primarily, which is spiritual excellence. We've hosted several events like yoga on the yard and paint and sips just to kind of get the students to ease their minds and nurture their souls.
Nurture their souls, man. And that's something which is indeed a requirement for young men, young women in this day and age. What are the requirements for both positions? I would imagine they're parallel, but what's the requirements? What are the stipulations? Yes, sir. Joseph.
So you have to have 200 hours of community service, and you have to have a GPA of a 3.0, and you have to be a rising senior.
So in other words, you need to be advanced, and you need to be a high achiever, and evidently a high worker. 200 hours, I mean, that's a bit much, is it not?
Well, not as much as when you're serving your community. 200 is very
Minimal when you enjoy doing what you do, and that's what you do. And actually, that's what you do at HBCUs.
Right.
You know, you come to serve, and that's part of the culture of the university. Is there anyone, or any particular, that you look at kings and queens before you? I know you mentioned the king before you, and you worked under the others. They served as good models for you, Keadria? Yes.
Yes. Upon entering Dillard University, I first had an encounter with the current Miss Dillard University at that time, and I just knew that that's something that I wanted to do. So Miss Dillard, she has her different identity throughout the years, depending on the person, and I feel like I've learned from each one. I've learned, what works, what doesn't work, and like how to actually connect with not only my court, but my Dillard family as well.
How did your family react when they heard that you not only that you were running for Mr. Dillard, but then you became successful?
They was very surprised, and they were very happy just to watch, like my mom says, just to watch her little boy, just grow up and just become this king, and my face being everywhere, and just seeing the good work that I'm doing just made her super proud, and everybody's super proud. I'm really looking forward to seeing them in 2 weeks at coronation and just watching their faces light up as we get crowned. Like, it's an amazing feeling.
How did your family react?
Oh, my family was overjoyed. Not only my family, but my hometown community as well. I come from a small town in Minden, Louisiana.
In Webster Parish?
In Webster Parish. And the whole town they're ecstatic because we don't normally see small town girls, especially from Minden, Louisiana, achieving such titles. So they're excited. They're all coming for coronation, as Joseph mentioned.
Oh, wow. So that's going to be a pretty festive occasion, I think.
Yes.
And that's wonderful. It's outstanding. And I know you bring a lot of joy to your positions. But what has been the challenge, Joseph, so far?
I would say just the transition of going from SGA, working behind the scenes, really getting to do the work, to actually being out there every time. So in SGA, I can kind of delegate some tasks to some people to do, so I wouldn't have to always be the lead of it. But with my Mr. Dillard duties, I have to be the face, and I have to be out there doing the work. So just working from behind scenes, coming to the forefront, has been a challenge for me.
And individuals recognize you, and they expect a certain demeanor from you. Well, I don't care whether you're in a basketball game or whether you're in a cafeteria. You've got to have a certain profile, true?
Yeah, I've also had to change my wardrobe a lot this year. I hardly have the opportunity to wear sweatpants and jeans. I'm typically always in slacks and a polo t-shirt or a dress shirt. And so that has been a very different thing for me as well.
I can see that. And the same for you?
The exact same. Being in the spotlight 24/7, everybody's always expecting you to be on. So you have to make sure that you're on because that is your position. And as a female role model for girls, I have to make sure that my presence and my attire is appropriate so that they will be motivated to do the same.
Even on the elevator, they expect you to have a certain demeanor when you're riding the elevator. Everywhere.
Always be on. You have to always be on.
Well, you know, there's a big campaign, and the campaign that exists is the Ebony magazine, and I know that I see your faces everywhere, and we were successful the last few years with Ebony magazine because now it's to be featured. You have to get votes, and so it becomes a challenge. Both of you, how you can tell us about that process and how does it work with the Ebony magazine and what individuals need to do?
Okay, so the Ebony competition just recently started on October 1st. It's an online competition where individuals, anybody they do not have to attend Dillard University, they can go online, research our profiles. I have a separate profile from Mr. Dillard, and you can vote as many times as you would like all throughout the day, all the way up until December 31st. And on those profiles, they include a little bit about us, a little bit about what we do, and what we stand for as students.
It's great. You find that works?
Yep, I think we've had a great social media buzz the last couple of days with both of our profiles getting out there. And I think we have a really good, legit chance of both of us making the top 10.
That would truly be outstanding because, and for number one, just coming from a small university at Dillard University, and that's the greatest challenge because the other universities have big numbers, and Dillard is always in that mix.
And Joseph, they recently added the Kings, so Joseph would be the only King from Louisiana running, so he has a great chance if all of Louisiana pulls together and gets behind.
Oh, there are no other Kings in the state?
No other Kings are running in the state. I'm the only one.
Well, you know what? There's only one King. I mean, that's just the way that works anyway. So that's the way it should be. I would when you sit back and think about it. And I know that there's been some challenges. Yes, we talked about your challenges, but the joy that you have. What's been the premier joy that you have as the reigning Mr. Dillard?
Just having, I know the suit drive was really big, just seeing those guys' faces light up to have an actual, like, good quality suit was amazing. And just being that mentor for them, I get to watch now all my mentees really spread out and make the difference. They're doing just as much work as I'm doing now, and so that makes me really proud to see the people that I invested in now going to go invest in other people and making their own impact and making their own legacy. So I'm super proud of my mentees and the work that they're doing. I think that's the biggest joy for me.
And Keadria, Ms. Dillard, what has been your joy?
My joy would be the same, the inspiration that I'm about to give. When I hear stories not only from my hometown, but stories from the girls around campus to let them know even when I'm not thinking I'm doing anything, I'm still motivating them and I'm still inspiring them. And just to hear those stories secondhand, even though when I'm working behind the scenes, I don't know that my work is making a difference. But when students give me their testimonies and let me know that I'm making a difference, that brings me joy.
Yeah, and you're right, that private testimony that you hear that you don't know that you're affecting anyone. You know something? Do you see any many Caldwells, many Millers? Do you see any folks that you can look in their eyes and their faces so that you know that they're rising, that this person one day will and should be a Mr. or Miss Dillard? Do you see that? And yes.
Yeah, I would say I do see it. I think one of my younger guys, who is our Mr. Junior, Todd Welch, has the great opportunity of being Mr. Dillard one day and can really leave an impact and do a lot of great things for Dillard University.
And what's the criteria that he has that you find to be exceptional?
He's an amazing leader. He's a very good at being a people's person. And so everybody loves Todd. He's always out. He's always dressing like he can really dress. And he's just always out. Everybody just naturally draw to him. Like he has such a good spirit and such good energy about himself.
And what do you see? Anyone?
There are so many leaders. I can't even specifically name one person, but there's so many leaders, not only in my role as Miss Dillard, but also I'm an aspiring law student. So I see so many young girls who are able to make a change, not even just in roles as Miss Dillard, but any SGA or any roles outside of Dillard.
Well, you know what? To be able to recognize leadership in someone, I think is highly important. And I know, and again, I would like to remind my viewing audience that I'm Gary Clark, and I'm speaking with two individuals from my university, from Dillard University, where I work, and we have Mr. and Miss Dillard University. And, you know, for the year 2018-2019, this academic year. And do this for us and my viewing audience. I want both of you to tell us your stories. And we'll start with you, Miss Dillard. Tell us the Keadria Miller story, where you're from, where you grew up, and your major.
Okay, so like I said, I'm from a very small town of Minden, Louisiana. We don't see too many people from that area come to New Orleans. So when I came to New Orleans, it was a bit of a culture shock, a bit of, well, now you have a lot to learn, a lot to, you don't really have that family connection from back home, so you have to make a family here. So Dillard has definitely been that family for me. That's one of the things that drew me to the university. I was enrolled in a similar HBCU across town, but Dillard really drew me by that family vibe, and I've really been able to flourish at Dillard because I've had mentors and I've had faculty and advisors who saw leadership in me. So that really brought that out in me.
And your major?
My major is political science. I'm pre-law, and I really love the political science department, especially my advisors over there, because they really push me to be the best that I can be.
Well, that's important. We always like to recognize. And yes, and yes, tell us the Joseph Caldwell story. Where you're from, where you grew up. I know you're from H-Town, but let's talk about this. Yes.
Yeah,
sir.
I'm from Houston. I grew up in a single mother home. My mother had 11 children, and so she took all of us by herself. I was the youngest. And the first one to actually come to college and leave the state of Texas. And so I'm very family oriented. I like to say I'm the heart of my family. And so I came to Dillard, a first generation student, and it was just big. It was my first time. The first time I actually visited Dillard was the first time I ever left Texas. And so coming here was just a really big culture shock for me, just to see the city, New Orleans, especially the food. It was amazing, good food, because I'm used to barbecue back home.
Right, New Orleans is not Houston. They do a crawfish boil before they do a barbecue.
Yeah, and so just coming here to Dillard, like my main motivation is to one day take care of my mom, and so that's my passion and my drive, and so I work hard, because I know that I'm working hard for not only myself, but for my family.
Yes, sir. Well, on that same note, in the same vein, who were your influences along the way? Who were your personal influences?
I had, so with my district, my school district back home, Galena Park ISD, it's a great district.
Independent school district. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
They really set us up with success. So my high school was just great. I met some phenomenal people. One of the people who sent me to Dillard was a Dillard grad. His name Tyrone Singleton, and he really pushed me to get out of Texas. He was like, you can't stay here. He's like, go out. He's like, I got this great university. He introduced me to Dillard. He actually took a picture of my ACT score on the computer and texted it to one of the Dillard admissions people, and I got accepted right then there on the spot via text message. And so that was just the connections and seeing the drive that they have. And once I came to campus and did my first tour, the dean, who was Dr. Johnson at the time, he seen me at the beginning of the tour. He was like, what's your name and where you from? And I was like, Joseph Caldwell from Houston. And he was like, you're gonna go do your tour. I'm gonna meet up with you later on the tour, and I'll be able to tell you everything about you. And he did just that. And from that point, I knew that Dillard was the place
for you. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And actually, Tyrone, he used to work on this show when I used to use interns quite a bit. He was one that never missed a day, was always on time. Mm-hmm. One of our best and one of our better students as well. And again, Keadria, Ms. Miller, who were your influences along the way?
I had several influences. Before I came to Dillard, it was really my community, my high school teachers. They pushed me to not see what was in front of me or not see what was presented to me. Like most young girls, they go to nursing school or they go to do things that are right around home. But my community, they really pushed me to go out and spread my wings and go to Dillard University and go to New Orleans. That's a whole like I said, a big transition for me. And once I got to Dillard, there were so many people willing to pour into me. So one of the main people that continues to pour into me is Miss Keadria, who is the pre-law advisor. She sets up meetings with me to check my progress, not only in school, but also in my life. So she's not only concerned about my academic success, but my success as an individual.
Personally, and which is the way it is and the way it should be. And you know something, I'm thinking now that that you all have that great mix, but there's one thing that you do and you do real well, and I want to know what is at the foundation of this. And you have that mix to be involved in civic engagement. And what motivated you to be civically involved, not just to do your academic work, but to do the civic things that you do, that you reach out to? Yes, sir.
I'm a firm believer in be the change that you want to see. And so I really push on the things of you can't eat at the table if you're not sitting at the table. And so I try to always put myself in the best position and learn and put myself at that table so my voice can be heard and the concerns that I have are being heard and I can take action on them. I don't feel like you can really make a difference if you're not putting yourself there, and your voice can kind of get lost in the mix. But if I'm there and I'm the head of the table, it's no choice but my voice to be heard.
So the key is to be at that table. Oh yes. And for you, for civic engagement, what motivated you to be so involved civically and to reach out and to do the extra activities that you engage in?
And the same motivation for me to be an attorney, because I wanted to give a voice to people who don't necessarily have a voice or don't know how to get to that table. I wanted to be an advocate and make sure that people's concerns are heard, because ever since I was young, I've always been the one to fight for justice or fight for someone to have equal opportunity. So that's always been a passion of mine.
Well, you know, one thing I like to do is, since I have you at the table, and you're young folks, and you're part of the millennial, and the biggest issue that confronts the millennials, and just actually confront our community, what is the issue that confronts our community as you see it, that we need to take a hold over?
I think for millenniums, what we have to do is we have to stop just being social media advocates. I think we have to actually go out there and take action. It's one thing to say something on social media or to try to bring awareness to a situation, but if nobody's ever acting on it, it just fades away in a day or so. So we have to really start to put some policies together and put some things together. When Dr. King and them used to do something, they used to protest and advocate for policies that they had already written. Nowadays, nobody has policies that are written, so we're just advocating and protesting for things that we're not really asking for nothing. So we're not forcing people to act on an issue. We're just on social media talking at this point.
I see that, and that's part of your platform. Period. The action, and, you know, that goes back to the Machiavellian concept of man. The man, the true man, is the man of action. Yes, and the same. What do you see to a large extent is one of the greatest issues which confront the millennials and confront us today?
I would say similar to what Joseph said. Everything is so mediocre. Nothing is on a scale that can actually make a difference. We have to be educated. We, as millennials, we depend on our education secondhand or from social media. We don't do the research. We don't discover what the core issues are ourselves to make a change.
Right, and you say mediocre, and there's something about mediocrity. No one likes mediocre. That's a song too, huh? But you know what? Mediocrity is not a part of what we want in American society. Right. Period. And that's not what you get through the experience that you've gone and that you are going through.
Right.
And your anticipation when you leave this environment and go to the next area. Where do you want to go when you leave the university? What the next level? I know you're interested in, you're looking at law school and yes. Yes, so
that's what I'm actually doing now. I'm in the process of applying to law school. So that is my natural next step for me. So that's what I'm doing right now, applying to law school.
And your next step when you exit the university and move forward?
So my ultimate goal is to be the mayor of Houston one day, and I want my foundation to be education. And so I'm preparing myself to work on all levels of education to really understand everything that an educator would go through and help make policies to make education better. I'm a firm believer that education is what we need to heal this country.
And once you educate the community, and well, theoretically, your education is part of the ball game. You're correct. Yeah, we got to educate this population,
right?
And then after you educate them, you have to socialize them. Yes, I don't know, but that's a whole different arena. And I like that. So you have to return next year. Both of you have to return to. And what happens there for the coronation? How does that work?
For next year?
You're right, because you have to return,
next year,
yes.
We are extended invitation by the newly elected Mr. and Ms. Dillard University to crown them. But also we have the opportunity to pour in what we've learned in our seats into them and to help make sure their reign is successful. And
that works. And so you're looking forward to next year to returning after you exit the school, and
I am.
You see the next leader?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see. I think Dillard has some great young leaders, and I'm really excited, especially with this freshman class. I'm really excited to see the impact that they can make on the university and just continue to watch Dillard grow. Like, recruitment numbers go up every year, so I'm excited to see what Dillard has in store for the future.
If there's one thing that you would like to change about the Mr. Dillard and Miss Dillard, what would that be? You know, what I know, because you come in and say, you know what, I want to change this. And what would you recommend?
For me, I would say I would like the same platform and the opportunities that the public universities in Louisiana have, like with the Board of Regents, how the SGA presidents at those public schools get to have a voice with the state. I would like that same opportunity for Dillard, and not just with Mr. Dillard, but with the whole SGA as a whole, to have a bigger impact and a bigger opportunity for the state of Louisiana.
I see. And because, you know, there's always something when you get in there and then you discover there, you say, oh, if we change this, perhaps this can work. And what change would you like to see embraced by the pageant?
I would also agree with Joseph, representation and having that seat at the table, but I also want to make sure, and I know that I can do this myself, make sure the next Miss Dillard has the tools that she needs to be successful. As a queen, you have your own identity, and you're kind of finding the way that things go. But I want to make sure the next Miss Dillard has the game plan already, so she can have her own identity, but she knows the ropes and knows how things.
Okay, I see that, because, you know, now pageantry is changing. You know, even in terms of Miss America, there are no beauty, there are no swimsuits. You know, there's all sorts of things that changes which are taking place in pageantry. We have 1 minute remaining or so, and I want you all to give us your final statements regarding the pageantry and where you want to carry your leadership. Yes, sir, Mr. Joseph Caldwell. We'll start with you, and then Ms. Miller. Yes.
I want to continue to take action in ourselves, our community, and our education. To really get black males, especially out of their comfort zone, and really going out there to make the opportunities for themselves. I'm an educator as well. I want to see more black males in the classroom. It's something from learning from somebody that you can really relate to. And so if we put black males in strategic places to mentor and help younger black males, we can really push each other as a community.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, and I would like us to push past mediocrity, to elevate to excellence, and to realize that we have so much potential within ourselves. And also, I want to encourage everybody to realize that you make a difference and representation matters.
Yes, I want to thank both of you for joining me. It's been truly outstanding. And I want to thank my viewing audience for tuning in. And as always, it's been a pleasure.